Though it is quite clear that I am part of the Moondrop Starfield hype train bandwagon, the question is for today, am I as excited as for the Aria as I was for the Starfields? Well, the answer is no. That's because the Starfields exist before Aria, the Aria, and they sound, or they are actually tuned very similarly. You must have known that. So the TLD of this review is, to be honest, I don't think that they are the best at $80 anymore. Like, these are fantastic, these are bloody fantastic, but I don't think they are the best for the price that they are now, because there are these two, which are the Hazard Sound Hard Mirror and the Etymotix ER2XR. I don't think these two are objectively better than the Moondrop Aria, but I can make a lot of arguments saying why that these two have their benefits over the Aria. So first of all, let's get to the build quality and the packaging in general. I think they are built very beautifully. The shells are very beautiful. They are like the Starfields or KXXS type of shape, very comfortable. The cable looks fucking beautiful. Some might say they look ugly and jank, but I think they look sleek as fuck. Though the L-shaped jack kinda looks cheap, but yeah, looks very beautiful. It's paracord coated cable. I don't know. The box also looks good, very good. Though I would prefer Moondrop to get some lolly waifus. I mean, where give a little bit of like butt slam to the closet pedos, or I mean the lolly lovers, or yeah, basically the same thing. So yeah, you get this a case right here, similar to the Starfield's case, simple with a few ear tips here and there, and yeah. So how do they sound? That's the most important part, right? So the Aria, I think the Aria sounds in general very safe, very harmonious, very clear sounding, very clean sounding. It's not a peaky, it's not terribly dry, it's not terribly thick sounding. It's just a well-rounded IM. The bass here is, you'll get the bass punch, but the depth of the sub bass, I mean, it doesn't extend that well in my opinion. It does. I do notice a bit of a roll off towards the end of the sub bass, though it hits quite hard. The transients there are okay, I guess. You would expect a bit more texture for such an elevated bass, but you get what you get. It's an $80 IM, and it's a good bass for $80 in my opinion. It's just not the deepest, the most rumbly bass that you might want to have. The mid-range, in my opinion, it's one of the best part of the Moondrop Aria is the mid-range. Definitely the mid-range. I can't see a lot of faults here. It sounds quite warm actually. It's quite lush. It's a bit thick. It's a bit, not really thick. It's just a bit thicker than what I would consider neutral. So it's just a very enjoyable presentation of mid-range. You might notice just a hint of shoutiness, and yes, that's just the Harman tuning, but I don't think it's a particularly shouty IM. I don't think it's shoutier than something like the SSR. Definitely not. That thing sucks balls. I don't think it's shoutier than maybe the Has It Sound Hard Mirror or the Etymotix. They are about equally shouty. Maybe the Has It Sound Hard Mirror is a bit more elevated at the mid-range and the lower treble region. So the mid-range sounds a bit thinner than the Moondrop Aria, though not really by that much. So yeah, the mid-range is very pleasant here. I really love how they present mid-range, especially for this price. The treble region, however, is a bit harsh. In my opinion, it's not that they are particularly elevated, it's more to they are just not resolving enough for the elevation that they have. They are not extremely elevated, but they are a bit elevated in the lower treble region. But I think with better resolution, better quality of the drivers, you can produce that sound, that treble region, more smoothly. And it's also maybe because of the phasing, they tune how they tune the IM. But I'm not from Moondrop, I can't really say for sure. But so yeah, the treble is very safe. It's very non-sibilant, non-offensive treble, though I do notice a bit of grain there, maybe because of that lack of resolution or that type of phasing issues. I'm not really sure. So for the technicalities in general, let's first get to the timbre first. It's a dynamic driver timbre, but due to the graininess and the dryness of the upper mid-range and the lower treble, you might expect perceive sound as a bit more drier sounding. Perceive music as a bit more drier sounding that you would expect, especially after you listen to things like the Moondrop Starfields, which is quite a bit less drier than here. I guess it's just that quality of that lower treble region is just hinders the timbre presentation of this particular IM. The general tonality, pretty fantastic. Everything sounds very, very correct. It doesn't sound wonky at all. It's not that type of IMs that you would think that, oh yeah, I'm listening to a pair of colored and fun IM. It's definitely colored, but it's not the jarring type of colored that you would expect a lot of hi-fis would usually go to. So yeah, it's actually a very good tonal balanced IM, like some good balanced sound. For the general technicalities, I think the resolution here is, I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the best. It's quite average. Maybe I would expect a bit more resolution, especially up top. Yes, to reduce probably the graininess of the treble region. When I listen to the Aria, I don't feel like I am listening to a particularly resolving IM, because they are not the type of resolving IM if you're actually looking for one. Soundstage in my general, they are quite good. It's quite wide. It's not very wide type. It's not like the EX1000 type of wide, but it's definitely further from the Etymotix very intimate, very isolated type of soundstage. So yeah, I think their soundstaging capabilities in terms of size and width is quite good. However, their depth, in my opinion, is just good. It's quite average in my opinion. It's good. This instrument separation is also pretty good, I guess. It's not the best, but it's definitely above average in terms of instrument separation. In terms of stage depth, I haven't get into it. I'll compare it with the HIBY hard mirror, because in my opinion HIBY hard mirror is one of the best IM under $100 for stage depth, and I don't think it's in the same class as the HIBY hard mirror in terms of stage depth and in terms of resolution. So this is a better tune IM. It's better tuned than the HIBY hard mirror. Is it better tuned than the Etymotix? It's quite more arguable. There are a lot of like die-hard fans of the Etymotix, although their treble region is also quite a bit harsh and grainy in their presentation, and the extension is not the best because these only get to like 17K, but doesn't really matter if your hearings only goes to that. So yeah, in terms of detail retrieval, the Aria are still noticeably below both of these, the Etymotix and the HIBY hard mirror. In terms of definition, in terms of macro detail, it's like the how defined the sound is. The Aria isn't also very good at that region. It's not the type of the IM that you look for if you're trying to listen for like textural nuance in a track. Like you can't hear the texture of cymbal clashes as clearly as you can hear in the HIBY hard mirror and the Etymotix ER2XR. So yeah, though their comfort, their usability, their general very well tuned and well managed tonality would, in my opinion, might be the reason why you would buy these over those two. Also, the fit here is atrocious, and there are treble spikes in the HIBY hard mirror. So for me, personally, because I am a type, I'm not a music lover. The type of music I love is different from the type of music I listen to. Yes. Because I am more of an audio lover than a music lover, so I do prefer my technicalities over my tonalities. So that's why I would still prefer the HIBY hard mirror over the Aria. So does that mean that the HIBY hard mirror is better than the Aria? Yes, in my eyes, because this is technically superior. The only department that the Moondrop Aria is better than the HIBY hard mirror is only in stage width. Even the depth is better here. This have super elevated bass, Harman elevated bass. These have a very little to no elevation in bass, and if you listen to the bass texture, you don't see that elevation here producing more audible texture than you can get from the HIBY hard mirror. So in my humble opinion, the HIBY hard mirror is still a better IM than the Moondrop Aria, and I would still pick these over the Aria. But what I think maybe isn't what the general people who prefer tonality over technicalities would pick, because the tonality here it's good, it's very good. Tonality here is still very good, though it's not as good as the Moondrop Aria. It's not as balanced as the Moondrop Aria. However, you might find the Etymotix ER2XR, they do have a very comparable tonal balance to the Aria. They do have a better detail, although their imaging and soundstage is very quite isolated type of sound, and the fit here is, if you like the fit, you like the fit. Their bass tightness is also not as tight and not as fast as the HIBY hard mirror. It's a bit similar to the Aria, although I do perceive that the Aria is a bit faster at some tracks. So yeah, you got that going on for the for these. Although the mid-range detail here is bloody fantastic. It's better than the Aria, definitely. So yeah, I guess that's it for the review of my Aria. It's not as hype. I don't hype the Aria as much as I hype the Starfields. That's because these two exist now. I know the Etymatics exist before the Starfields, but it's not as popular. It's not as easy to get, especially for people in Indonesia. So we just we just buy what we can buy. Okay, that's it for the review. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to watch Jason's video. See you next time. Godspeed.